Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and I-Man here from the Block Runner, MetaZone, Rovi, and MScribe, and today we're going to be talking about some DMT, mainly I-Man's tweet here.
Thanks, dude. This is the episode where I get to show off one of my tweets. I guess I don't know. Well, my tweets are typically a reflection of some sort of conversation we're having.
This was inspired by my thoughts here. By the way,
that's right. But I took full ownership and glory of it in the form of internet
fame.
That's right. So my thoughts are my own, nobody else's. But the theory of this thought and the reason for this, I don't know, this perpetual mental gymnastics we kind of find ourselves in is, we have a long history here, on this podcast, in this industry, whatever. So we've ever since the beginning of the Block Runner, our responsibility has been to find the vectors of newness and new opportunity and stuff in the space, right? And so rewind 5 years ago, we weren't building anything, right? We were simply observers of what's happening. And then slowly over time, we started to get involved in the building process, and we identified some new things that could potentially add new value to Web3.
Yeah.
Specifically in the Metaverse direction and such. But now we're here on Bitcoin. We're doing the same thing. This is our daily task, is observe and analyze, man, is there any new innovation that we need to, for ourselves, be positioned to early on, and for all you guys listening, right?
That actually brings an interesting perspective that we provide, and that's why we do this podcast, is that as builders, we get to see problems that no one else gets to see.
Yeah, that too.
They don't see any of these things, like the problem of an indexer, how important an indexer was. We were talking about Track in early 2023 because we knew how important an indexer was, and we knew that Benny offering an infrastructure for developers to build functional aspects to an indexer was a very good thing, right? Because we knew builders and developers were the single most important thing to any ecosystem.
100%. And because of our, ambitions to build really truly valuable stuff, we know how the complexities of that to enable true value to emerge. That's how we're able to identify, lacking infrastructure, right? We identified a lot of lacking infrastructure in the Metaverse space. We were trying to build really cool stuff. Yeah. Specifically in Decentraland, it's but we want this cool stuff to not just be pigeonholed to a silo, right? We want these things to be interoperable and communicate with other ecosystems and technology stacks and stuff. So obviously there's some missing infrastructure there, and we're still in that situation. Right?
Yeah.
So you're right. We get to identify a lot of things and experiment as builders. That's what led us to identify the original L2 need on Ethereum.
Yeah.
We're damn, dude. We're kind of at a standstill here on Ethereum. There's just too much hotness.
Yeah.
We want to keep building cool stuff, but it's just unfeasible. So we were early to the whole L2 scene, and letting our audience know, dude, there's a real fundamental dilemma in front of us. So who's actually building to address that, right?
Yeah, that's right.
That was XDAI.
Yeah.
That was at the time Matic, which became Polygon.
Right.
And if you were there watching those videos, their market cap was 20-30 million, right? Yeah. Which you look at it, how high it got to almost 20 billion.
That's right.
So that's our mode of operation, right?
Yep.
Is finding, for one, core technical issues that need resolution, therefore that presents an opportunity. And also just new innovation of thought and application, right? Something we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
Right? So
all right, well, let's take a look at this tweet. So I-Man says, and this is his pure, unique thought that didn't come from anyone else. It says, list all the previous crypto market manias since 2017. It was ICOs, DeFi, NFTs, GameFi and Metaverse, and then you put in memes.
Yeah, memes has... whether you want to admit it or not, dude, there's an energy there.
There's exactly 1,000 people that made money on memes. So yes, quite the mania, dude.
I don't know, dude. I'm not gonna completely throw memes out because it's not a new technology that's been introduced, but it's a new consensus of thought, right?
You know what's interesting?
The idea of a meme.
ICOs, very important innovation, right? It really funded projects in a non-regulatory friendly way, right? Okay. DeFi, very important technology. NFTs, another important. GameFi, Metaverse, another important. Memes, not so much important. What happens in this timelines? All of a sudden Zoomers get involved. right? And it's like they throw their $100 in, and it's like, hopefully I become a millionaire. I was like, nope, not today.
Right. But still, like there is still a utility for a meme as like an access point, right? And like it's the the lowest barrier of friction as far as like having to interpret the value of things, like, you know, going through all this technical gauntlet of like, not every human on earth, for one, is even like mentally capable of doing that. So you don't want to just completely disbar them from participation, right? So that's the utility of a meme token.
Sure. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So there's nothing like there's no technical innovation here. It's just like it's a community onboarding mechanism.
Yeah, and just again, like it's a mind virus, right?
Yeah.
Which are still like it's an emerging thing that needs to be paid attention to. Whatever, right? So okay, memes is on the list. All this stuff's on the list. So it's like we're talking amongst ourselves. What was the common theme between all of them, right?
Yeah. So they had an all-new value generation model introduced to crypto. So what is DMT? The newest value generation model native to Bitcoin.
Yeah. So history's on the side of the non-arbitrary era. So it's like we're trying to be as objective as possible because, yeah, we're in a unique position where, again, our responsibility is to find this stuff in the market. Like, but in this case, this is something that we've contributed to ourselves. So it's like, man, there's like there's a
biased vector here.
Yeah, which we don't want. We don't want to expose you guys to that if that's the case, right? If we're truly just being biased here, then there's like a conflict of interest possibly, right? So it's like we want to analyze everything that's happening with DMT, everything that's happened to our observations, like understanding, and be as objective as possible.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
So that's what we're attempting to do. We're doing that like openly, as transparent as possible through this channel, through our podcasts, on Twitter Spaces, whatever, right? So,
yeah, I mean, we spend a lot of time thinking about DMT and thinking about Bitmap and thinking about like the entire crypto space, and like the tweet says, is there's a history here of innovations mania, mania,
right,
innovation mania, and then all of a sudden, everyone on Bitcoin is like L2s. It's like, well,
right.
What is the stickiness that requires an L2? What is the thing that is happening on L1 that requires an L2, like a CryptoKitty? What is that thing?
Right. So you're basically saying it's not necessarily like the capability unlock of technology. Like that's not what got the market interested, right? It's the product, the applications, whatever, like the actual output from like the developers who utilize the technology, right? So we're here on Bitcoin. We've got 100 L2s. We're on our way to passing like more than 10 meta protocols that are like working towards like programmability and enabling developer use, right? So now they can produce products, right? Native to Bitcoin or as close to Bitcoin as you can get in a scalable environment, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So like that is I feel like the mode of operation all of us as users of this Bitcoin ecosystem need to like tread these waters with, like an understanding, an internal pocket within your own mind. If I'm entering this new ecosystem, like a fractal that's going to go live in like a week or so, if I'm not seeing evidence of like something new here, I feel like, you know, we're not actually going to achieve that, right? Like extending a new point to this like historical timeline of.
I feel like we use the word new because it comes with this history of knowledge, right? And so when you don't have that history of knowledge, it's like, wait a minute, Fractal's a new blockchain, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, like, that is new, right? That qualifies as new. It's like, well, actually, not really. That's not new, right? You can spin up blockchains, like, with the click of a button these days, right?
You really can, yeah.
Yeah, so no, that is not new. Now, what's new about Fractal is that they're enabling OPCat, and that creates some new potential functionality. But OPCat is an innovation on Bitcoin because it enables functionality to be built on layer 1 Bitcoin. OPCat on another chain is not the same thing. It is, yes, the same functionality, but it's applied on a completely different chain with different mechanics and everything. But you have that with Ethereum. You want some functionality, you go to Ethereum, right? So just having a fork of Bitcoin, you add some functionality, that's going to create some mania? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's interesting because I mean, nonetheless, all these new things are going to be introduced, like like swapping protocols, like DeFi lending and all this stuff. They're objectively not new things, but they're new things, I guess, when in the conversation of Bitcoin.
Sure,
right?
sure.
But the idea is whether or not like the market is going to interpret that as like some valuable contribution to the umbrella narrative of Web3 and cryptocurrency or not.
Right.
Because we've seen all these things happen. I don't necessarily know if like just because they're happening on Bitcoin, like that is going to be the big driving force of interest, right?
I think there's an underlying potential difference that if it happens on Bitcoin, it might be different. Like in the fact that if you bring DeFi on L1, right, you are tapping into a potential $1.2 trillion asset class.
Correct.
Right. And so DeFi on Bitcoin is not necessarily a new thing, but it's new to Bitcoin in the sense that it might unlock, some level of, access and functionality that wasn't there before in a way that's like it's Bitcoin now,
But I feel like Ethereum got away with just activating these new functions and this new layer of utility like that, because just the enablement of that was a new thing, like something we haven't seen in the crypto space. Yeah. So that alone had its like speculative renaissance, right? It's like, holy shit, a new protocol that enables the pooling of liquidity. Tremendously valuable, mint a token to represent the governance of that. It's going to be tens of billions of dollars in value. That's enough. Yeah. Right. So it wasn't like all these like infrastructure components were really like initially intended to support anything. It wasn't until like, GameFi started to arise. Like now we have like an application for this stuff. Mm-hmm. So we're wondering, it's like, what is going to be that new vector of like innovation to where like the construct of all these individual composable protocols on Bitcoin, they have a real shared purpose now. Yeah. It's like we're building all these primitives, all these individual DeFi components, governance things, all these new tools, but for what? Yeah. Right? To do what? Yeah, to support what? The construction of what? Like that's Ethereum had a whole cycle where they got away with like not really addressing or answering that question.
Yeah, right? It was literally ICOs was a website. I'm going to change the world, and then here's our token. You can buy our token right now.
Correct. So I was like, wow, marvelous, right? Good stuff. I'm in. Yeah. Just because it was new. Yeah. The idea of technology infrastructure native to crypto was new. So therefore, tremendously valuable. But now we have new questions like, why have we built all this technology and infrastructure? Right? Mm-hmm. What are we actually supporting? Right. So I feel like this is the actual answer to like what is going to be this cycle all about. Like what are we actually as an infrastructure layer supporting? Right. So new interesting candidates arise, like DMT and the Metaverse specifically, like supporting an actual propagation of non-arbitrary substance into this whole digital equation, right?
Yeah. So let's talk about why that's new, right? So the reason why DMT is so important on the context of Bitcoin is because Bitcoin is the single network that consumes so much energy that you can compare that to countries, right? There's maybe like 15 to 20 countries that consume more energy than Bitcoin.
That's crazy.
Right? Yeah. And so in the context of like every single block, you are consuming 155,000 houses worth of energy on a monthly basis in a single block of Bitcoin.
Yes.
Right. There is no network that does that. And therefore, the data that is thereby locking up by this thermodynamic process is locked forever. And there's no way to change it. And so if we decide to create a meta protocol as what has been enabled with the ordinal theory that says, let's tie fungible tokens or, UNATs, unique non-arbitrary tokens, to the data on Bitcoin that is locked through this thermodynamic process, what could we create with that functionality?
Yeah, so that alone is already like, you have to really understand everything you just said and then like align, I guess, with the purpose of that, of like introducing a new substrate material process, right, for specifically for digital creation. So, now you have a question of like, I don't know, competing philosophies. Right? Yeah, which is how many people want to go down that rabbit hole of like philosophical thought loops and such, but you got to ask yourselves these questions, dude. Whenever you're entering or participating in the digital realm, you have to ask yourselves these things like, well, what is a more potentially like which model has like a more alignment towards, you know, intrinsic tangible value, whatever, right? Spinning things up completely arbitrarily, which is what we've been doing for 15 years, which has produced tremendous value. I'm looking at CoinGecko here. It's $2.2 trillion of value, roughly.
Yeah, that's right.
After 15 years of arbitrary, just like spin ups, right? Where we're pulling in economic models from the real world or whatever, tokenizing as much as we can. There's no like rooted parameter to how these things actually come into existence. We just spin up a smart contract, write some lines of code, and these things exist and they have value associated to them. So now we're introducing a whole new mechanism, a whole new model of like, how do you approach the actual creation of a digital existence, right? Something that's rooted to what you just explained is this unbreakable force, which is Bitcoin.
Yeah. I mean, and the reason why that's important is because we built our entire multi-trillion-dollar economic system on physics. Everything is built on top of physics. And if you can produce a multi-trillion-dollar ecosystem on this notion of physics, what could you build in this digital infrastructure when you tie the same parallels of physics to the unbreakable data layer of Bitcoin? Like, what could you do? And so that is what DMT is exploring.
100%. So the purpose of this video is kind of to introduce a 3-part series of intro to DMT. Maybe this should have been like part 1 actually, because we're probably gonna have to just rehash and reemphasize that whole thing. So
yeah, you know what's interesting? People for a long time have been using physics to explain Bitcoin for a long time.
Yeah,
right.
For sure.
And we're not the first ones, and we're definitely not going to be the last ones that use physics to explain Bitcoin. But there's a good reason why physics plays a role here, right? Because the same processes that produced oil and diamonds and gold and silver is the same temperatures and pressure. This is energy input by the planet through physics into a space that produced oil, gold, and silver. And the same energy that was used to produce those commodities is like the same energy that we're using to produce Bitcoin and thereby this unbreakable layer of data.
Correct.
So it is the same process. It's like physically no different, really, when you break it down. And so, I mean, you could really think through as like, you know, Bitcoin might be like a new substance, like for real this time.
Correct.
Like it actually might be a new substance.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's what's interesting about what it is we're talking about here. And again, trying our best to be as objective about this as possible, not to like toot our own horns, you know, not
all the way.
Yeah, no, not full on fluffery, right? None of that.
Yeah,
it's just like is what we're saying actually tangibly like the thing, right?
Yeah,
the new value unlock of you know this current upcoming cycle. So that's what we're trying to introduce as far as like thinking about these things. Do you align with them or not? Is this all a waste of time? You know, can we bring more value to the digital realm by, you know, creating, you know, new mechanisms on top of this like system, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, for what purpose?
Yeah, and if you guys have discovered something new, definitely send it our way. We'd like to see it.
I mean, we've been doing this for a while. Nobody's
You know what? There was one time.
What, BitTensor?
BitTensor, yeah.
Yeah, that is another vector of interest for sure, right? But that's another video.
Yeah. Hopefully we can make an update video to BitTensor.
No, we will for sure at some point. But yeah, we gotta again, the idea is to like incorporate this into your programming. So like whenever you're doing your own due diligence as an individual participant, you're trying to figure out where should I go.
Yeah.
There's so many directions. Like, you know, what demands my attention and focus with all these different, essentially competing ecosystems, right?
Yeah.
You know, once you get past the understanding of like what differentiates them from a technical level, is like what is the purpose or the alignment of that community, that ecosystem, like what they're actually trying to achieve? Is it just simply to create new speculative markets for like a short-term period? If they're all like throwing into your face, like we just simply want to do like, you know, pump.fun
Literally.
here.
It's happening everywhere now.
Yeah, then that might be like the, I don't know, like the disqualifying threshold, potentially. If you feel like that's not like a genuine like attempt to introduce something new, because it isn't, right?
Yeah, dude, crypto needs a new leader. When everybody's pump.fun as like this new innovation, like we need to reboot the whole system, dude.
Correct. That's what this is. This is a reboot.
It is.
Like non-arbitrary creation is an actual legitimate reboot where we have to rethink everything, our whole approach to digital economics.
Yeah.
And our whole like landscape of what we're doing as an industry, as like a, you know, a force of development, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, those are our thoughts. Obviously we're curious to hear what you guys think.
Yeah, and like Iman was saying, we're going to do a 3-part series. We're going to break down why indexers are important, why
Correct.
indexing is like the most critical thing, and when it comes to Bitcoin and like the data layer and everything that's happening with DMT.
Yeah, as unbreakable as like Bitcoin's whole thermodynamic process to generate this substrate layer, that whole mechanic of that, the outside layer of interpreting what exists and then purveying the actual truth of like what actually exists and what doesn't, it has to be equally as unbreakable.
Yeah, I mean, the data in this unbreakable layer is there, but it's not accessible to anybody. You need an indexer to make it accessible, right? And so we're going to get into those details in subsequent videos, but yeah, again, if you guys find anything new in the crypto space, definitely let us know. We definitely like to hear about it. And appreciate you guys for watching. Follow our Twitter, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and that'll be it. Appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.
Peace.